When you're a couple trying to conceive, your doctor is everything. So today, Dr. Isiah Harris, infertility specialist from Reproductive Science Center of the San Francisco Bay Area's Los Gatos location, is here to talk about how teaching and working in different settings has helped him treat patients and provide successful outcomes. Also joining us is Jackie Xu, founder of US SynCare and HIMSS member, who will be translating in Chinese. Welcome to Fertile Edge, a podcast from Reproductive Science Center of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm Maggie McKay. Welcome, Dr. Harris and Jackie. To start off with, Dr. Harris. In reviewing your resume, I see that you received a lot of teaching awards during your time in residency. Is teaching something that's still important to you?
当一对夫妇想怀孕的时候，医生的角色是非常重要的。今天我们的 podcast 就有RRC 的Los Gatos location 的 Dr. Harris 上来跟我们讲一讲他的在各个不同的试管医院工作的经验，以及这个生活和教学对于怎么样能够帮助到这个夫妻成功怀孕很有帮助。
Well, firstly, thank you for the opportunity. It's my pleasure to be here, and absolutely, teaching is still something that is very, very important to me. I think through teaching, you really have an opportunity to solidify your own knowledge, and actually, it often allows or gives you the opportunity to expose gaps in your knowledge and understanding of various concepts. And I know questions from trainees who often have much less experience can often come from a perspective that we don't typically consider. And that really helps keep you as the educator engaged in that learning process yourself. And so I have found it a tremendous tool, not only for the satisfaction of being able to help foster the growth of the next generation of physicians, but also to make sure that I myself are staying on top of my game and on top of the literature in the best way possible.
当然就是在这个医学院里教这个新的医生对我来讲很重要除了就是说你能够有成就感帮助新的医生怎么样给他们在这个诊所的实践经验之外，另外还有就是因为这些学生有不同的角度他们的范围跟病人接触的范围问题可能是我没有碰到的，所以不断的教书，不断的这个有新的问题，对于我这个扩大我的视野，对于病人各种的问题都非常有帮助。
Now that you're in private practice, how are you able to continue teaching?
因为你现在在这个 RRC 非常繁忙的诊所看病人已经忙不过来了，那你怎么能够挤出时间再去教新的医生呢？
Well, there's actually been a major evolution in the past couple of decades in the fertility landscape. And so at this point, some of the best research is actually coming from private centers. And while we still have our academic institutions as hubs for a lot of research, there's been tremendous growth in the amount of academics that are really coming from private practice, because we have learned to understand that only through that constant knowledge and learning and seeking out answers are we able to advance and grow as a field. And so we have fellows that we work with from Stanford, and so we get direct opportunities to educate them on a regular basis. But ultimately, the way I think about it is each patient counseling session is an education session. So every day I'm teaching an audience of one or two to understand their fertility, highlight the unique features of their situation, and try to leave them with a better understanding of what's happening and then what we can do.
哇，当然就是说在这个繁忙的看病人过程当中，这个是双向受益的，因为 比如说现在有斯坦福的这个新的医生啊，我在这个教他们。那我这个诊所每天有新的病人的案例，我会带给他们。这样子的话，当他们自己独立开业看病人的时候，就有第一手的经验。另外一点很重要的是说，因为现在很多尤其是高科技的东西都在这个诊所里实验室啊，数据都是在这里边产生的。所以每天我们看病，尤其是 RC 的话，它有很长的历史，40年的历史，很多数据，所以每天都会给一些医生啊，斯坦福的学生一些新的知识。
Dr. Harris, I know that you have had the opportunity to work in several different practice settings for different organizations. What have you learned from having those different experiences?
我知道您在美国不同的地方东岸、南部都工作过，而且都是非常一流的试管医院。您那些经验怎么样带给您到今天 RC 的工作？
Well, I have worked in a few different practice settings, and the most valuable takeaway for me is that there are just simply many different ways to accomplish the same thing. And from being in different settings and different practices with different cultures and different general approaches to fertility care, I now have the ability to draw on my experience from using so many different protocols for different patients. And now when a problem arises, I've not just seen it before, but I've seen it managed in a couple of different ways. And so that gives me great intellectual flexibility when problems or unexpected situations do arise. And it also allows me to tailor my care to patients in a way that can not just be the way I know, but now I can draw on these experiences to provide a care plan that's going to give that patient the best overall experience, not just the best outcome, because the experience is important as well. And that's one of the valuable things that you get from seeing the same general process performed in a number of different ways.
我很幸运在美国不同的顶级的试管医院里工作，因为同一个结果，我们那句话叫条条大路通罗马，就是说每个诊所有它不同的特点，那我呢就可以有机会把这些不同的特点就在我的脑子里这样子的话，当我自己看我自己病人的时候，我就可以好像一个电脑一样在不同的方式可以制定最好的这个治疗方案给到病人。
And given that experience, what factors drew you to RSC in particular?
那你觉得您这些经验对于 RC 来讲有什么价值？
Well, first and foremost, the people. The fertility world is a relatively small world, and so you tend to know a lot of the docs in various practices, particularly in your locale. And so I've known the folks here at RSC for quite a while, and I've always found them to be just incredibly thoughtful and just a wonderfully tight knit group of providers. The philosophy here is also something that was really important to me. As the fertility landscape has changed, the economics have gotten in the way in some practice to some degree, and RSC has always had an incredibly strong ethical focus to their practice pattern. It also provides an environment that really encourages us to be forward thinking. It's got an incredible foundation of standards and practices, but it allows us as individual doctors to explore unique paths that may be better suited to a particular patient situation. And then you can't talk about RSC without talking about the success rates. I think ultimately, having such an incredibly successful lab that has been doing tremendous work for such a long time really allows me the opportunity to know that I'm going to be able to provide the best possible care for our patients. We are in a very large national network, and RSC has consistently had the highest success rates, not just in California, but in the nation. And so that for me just provides the confidence that I know my patients are going to get the best possible care. And as long as I'm doing my job well, they're going to be very well suited.
对于因为我工作了不同的医院 ，RC 对于我来讲，第一个 印象哈，就是他们病人以病人为中心，所有的都是以病人为出发点。第二点就是说，因为我们 RC 是一个很大的一个集团的医生组织，那他又允许又很开放，让每一个医生有不同的擅长，让他自己去这个发挥这方面的擅长哈。这个是而且非常前卫，比如说他们的这个后台的实验室非常先进，所有的先进的技术都是在实验室里边，所以让我们可以走在技术应用这方面，在全国走在前面。最后一个就是成功率，如果就是谈到 RC 成功率，是不可缺少的。RC 40年来一直保持在全美国最高的成功率，我觉得这几个因素是让我最后选择留在 RC 的理由。
Dr. Harris, how much emphasis should a patient put on the success rates of a practice when they're considering where to go for their infertility services?
Dr. Harris， 你认为当病人选择医院诊所的时候，成功率是占多大的比重呢？
Well, I think success rates are hugely important because they tell you a lot about the quality of work that's happening at a particular practice. I tell patients all the time that I tend to get all the hugs and high fives, but a lot of the real magic that's happening is actually happening backstage in the lab, and that work is critical to the success of a practice. I can do all the best things to put together a wonderful protocol that gets you to produce lots of follicles and eggs, but at the end of the day, if the lab isn't very successful at being able to get good fertilization, get good development from the early cleavage stage to the blast stage, then all of my work is for naught. And so I think success rates are very, very critical, but they're certainly not the only thing. And I think that's another part of what I love about RSC is that we pay a lot of attention to the care and being thoughtful to the emotional ups and downs of our patients and trying to be a real guide for them as they go through this process, which has a tremendous amount of ups and downs. There are a lot of successes and failures throughout any individual's fertility journey. And so having caring, thoughtful providers is a critical component as well. And I encourage patients to not just seek out practices with the highest success rates in terms of numbers, but also to seek a real partner who's going to be able to be with them, help them, guide them, and truly care for them as they're going along this often very difficult journey.
我觉得就是成功率非常非常的重要原因是因为什么？因为试管医院的这个和其他医院不一样，除了医生本身我们都医生在前面做这个非常好的沟通方案的指导，但是很重要，当你的卵子取出来，当你这个做成胚胎，当你胚胎在这个第5天、第6天做成囊胚等等这个发育的过程当中，这个后台的整个的技术团队包括实验室非常非常重要。当然这个是第一那我不是说只有成功率是最重要，当然你跟你的医生之间的互动关系非常重要，医生也非常了解你的情况，然后非常把作为个人这个不同的治疗方案给到你，这个也非常重要。
Well, as you said, Dr. Harris, fertility and trying to conceive is such an emotional journey. So it was wonderful to meet you and talk to you and hear about your philosophy and what you learned through the years and how special a place it is where you work. So thank you so much for your time. And Jackie as well, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and translating.
非常感谢今天 Dr. Harrison 在繁忙的工作当中来跟我们分享他个人的经验，能够带来病人什么非常感谢大家。
To find out more, please visit rscbayarea.com/IVF-success-rates.
那你可以上网找到我们成功率rscbayarea.com/success.
And if you found this podcast helpful, please share it on your social channels and check out our entire library of topics of interest to you. Again, that was Dr. Isiah Harris and Jackie Shu. I'm Maggie McKay. This is Fertile Edge, a podcast from Reproductive Science Center of the San Francisco Bay Area. Thanks for listening.
非常感谢，还是那句话，非常感谢今天有 Dr. Harris 和 Maggie Fertility Edge 这样一个 podcast 是给专门是做这个试管方面的资讯的分享，感谢。